What if everything you think you know about an entire continent is based on a lie? Or, to be more precise, what if it's based on a carefully selected half-truth? This isn't about denying reality. It's not a wild conspiracy theory whispered in the dark corners of the internet. It is a simple, direct question about the pictures that have been painted for you over and over until they became your reality. It is a call to pause for a moment, to step back from the familiar images, and to wonder if there's a bigger, more complex picture you have been deliberately kept from seeing. A picture that might change everything. For decades, the word Africa has been a shortcut in the global imagination, a brand name for a very specific set of images. Close your eyes and think of it. What do you see? For many, the mental slideshow is predictable and deeply ingrained. So, let's talk about the story that gets sold, the one that makes it to primetime. The media, in its endless quest for eyeballs and clicks, simplicity sells. A complex issue requires time, context, nuance, three things often in short supply in a fast-paced news cycle. It is far easier to show a single dramatic image of poverty than to explain policies, pressures, and history. The choice for a producer on a tight deadline is often a simple one. This isn't necessarily malice, but a kind of systemic laziness. News organizations, particularly Western ones, have developed a formula. The correspondent flies in, captures pre-approved visuals of suffering, gets a soundbite, and files the report. It confirms biases, reinforces us and them, and then the news moves on. This repetition creates a powerful feedback loop. A booming tech sector in Nigeria or a breakthrough in Kenya feels like an anomaly. Loaded words strip agency and paint a continent waiting to be rescued. This narrative shapes policy, aid, and investment. Now let's flip the coin. Let's look at the side you are rarely shown. Imagine stepping out of a state-of-the-art airport into the warm evening air. Not a desolate wasteland, but a thriving metropolis. The skyline is not defined by acacia trees. It's glass and steel that pierce the clouds. The streets are multi-lane highways filled with cars. Headlights, a river of light. This is Lagos. This is Nairobi. This is Johannesburg. This is Accra. This is Kigali. This is Abidjan. In these cities, the daily hustle isn't about survival. It's about ambition. A young entrepreneur pitching fintech. Developers building apps. Stock exchanges buzzing. The engine room of a new economy, roaring to life. Tradition sits beside revolution. Mobile money in markets. Farmers on price apps. Artisans shipping to New York, Paris, Tokyo. World-class restaurants. Modern malls. Luxury hotels. Galleries selling for fortunes. Festivals drawing the world. This is the Africa of right now, a place of immense opportunity and complexity. So, if this vibrant, modern, ambitious Africa exists, why do we hear so little about it? The first reason is habit. For generations, the narrative was set. The Africa correspondent became the crisis correspondent. Sources, fixers, and storylines were built around crisis. To tell a different story, you must break that mold. That takes effort, budget, and will. A second, more cynical reason: sad stories are good for business. Outrage travels. A new fiber optic cable in Somalia is important, but it doesn't pull the heartstrings. Permanent bureaus are expensive. Journalists fly in, cover disaster, then leave. They don't stay to report recovery, rebuilding, or everyday resilience. A subtle, pervasive bias. The West as benefactor, Africa as dependent. A story of Africa competing and innovating challenges, assumptions, and unsettles some. When a single story is told over and over again, it's worth asking, cui bono? Who benefits? Some segments of the multi-billion-dollar aid industry. Perpetual crisis is a potent fundraising tool. Crisis sells. It provides simple, compelling storylines and visuals. Media profits by portraying the problem. Aid profits by offering the solution. The image is reinforced. It's not a conspiracy. It's a convergence of interests producing a profitable outcome. Perceived instability weakens negotiating power. Resources and labor extracted on favorable terms. A weak Africa justifies intervention, aid with strings, and paternalism in forums like the UN. The old story keeps Africa subordinate, managed, and helped, not listened to. The narrative isn't just a story, it's a tool of power. So, who loses when this outdated story is the only one being told? The primary losers are the hundreds of millions, whose lives and ambitions are rendered invisible. Think of young graduates in Kigali, working on drone delivery and building a cashless economy. Yet the global perception remains stuck on tragedy, missing reconciliation, innovation, and order, and the investments and tourism they attract. In Nairobi's Silicon Savannah, mobile banking leapfrogs legacy systems, now studied worldwide. Platforms link smallholder farmers to larger markets, boosting income and food security. But investors hear Kenya and think instability, not world-class tech, a perception gap that starves growth. Nollywood outproduces Hollywood. Afrobeats fills stadiums, too often treated as novelty, not mainstream. Creators lose distribution, fair royalties, and respect routinely granted elsewhere. Ultimately, the world loses, overlooking African solutions in finance and logistics, and a young, dynamic market. The consequences are concrete. Perception shapes the flow of money and power. Investment funds weigh risk. If their information diet is war, disease, turmoil, assessed risk goes sky high. Capital demands higher returns or walks away. Lack of investment stalls. Business, jobs, infrastructure, and public services like schools and hospitals. Conditions the media highlights are perpetuated by the narrative it creates. Tourism is emotional and media-shaped. Fear empties hotels, markets, and entire communities. Perceived strength earns respect, better trade deals, and a louder voice on global rules. Perceived weakness invites condescension, lectures, and dependency. Media narratives drive soft power, and in today's world, soft power is real power. So, where do we go from here? We return to the question that started it all. Is the world being shown a carefully edited version of reality? The answer is yes, not through a grand conspiracy, but through habit, laziness, and a convergence of interests. The task is not to deny real challenges. Poverty is real. Conflict is real. But they have never been the whole story. The task is to demand the full picture. And it's on all of us as consumers of information. When we see the familiar, heart-wrenching image, we must ask, what am I not being shown? Who benefits from me seeing this and only this? Seek other sources. Listen to local voices. Follow African journalists, filmmakers, and entrepreneurs. See the boardrooms as well as the camps, the tech hubs as well as the droughts. Be curious enough to find the other side of the coin. This is not about swapping stereotypes. It's about embracing complexity, immense challenges, and incredible innovation at the same time. Afford 54 countries the nuance given elsewhere. See people not as symbols, but as agents of their own destiny. Next time you see a story about Africa, look closely. Ask, what if what I'm being shown is only half of the truth? Will you be content with that half, or find the other half?